Listen, I have a theory about Rhodes Scholars already. I've told Jimmy this a couple times. I think they're sociopaths.
They are. Bill Clinton.
Yes. Rachel
Pete.
Maddow. Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, he's the worst. You know, Pete makes me like Biden. Because Biden just owns it. Everyone knows he's not woke. Everyone knows he's problematic. But Pete pretends to be woke, and he's terrible.
Yeah.
His whole thing about not paying for college because it's unfair to rich people.
Well,
like
here-
anyone buys that for
Listen
a
to this. So
second.
here he is. He's being interviewed by
Can't stand him.
Robert Costa, one of my faves.
Yeah.
He's really
Real
slimmed
committed.
down. He looks fantastic.
Real committed to the free press.
Yeah, really.
When it affects him, not anyone else.
Oh, no, this is different. Not
Oh,
you're
sorry.
thinking of Jim Acosta. This
Sorry,
is
sorry.
Robert.
My bad, yeah.
Yeah, this is a different guy who lost some weight. He looks fantastic.
Oh, okay,
He really does. Watch.
It's not just protesters. Senator Warren said in a
Oh,
speech
this is
this
great.
week in New Hampshire that she has a rival in the race who, quote, offers top donors regular phone calls and special access. When a candidate brags about how beholden he feels to a group of wealthy investors, our democracy is in serious trouble. That comment was widely seen as a reference to you. Is that a fair critique? What's your response?
You know, the thing about these purity tests is the people issuing them can't even meet them, right?
I like the expression.
They can't even meet him, right?
He's so sensible.
Is it? Yes.
He's so
He's
down
so
to
smart.
earth.
Hey, first of all, it's not a purity test. Taking legal bribes is called corruption.
Right.
It's not purity. It's called legal bribes. That's called corruption. Okay. And so so that's a guy who takes legal bribes, who likes being bribed, then does the bidding of those people who paid him. And then if you call him on that, he calls you a purist. That's a purity test. So if you're not pure, why are you impure? So you're admitting you're not pure. Well, why are you impure? Why are you taking on some corruption? Right? Isn't that the implied by him saying that it's a purity test? He's implying that he's in fact is impure.
Right, but it's an unreasonable demand, right? That's what the implication is.
Yes.
It's like they're requiring the impossible.
So he goes on, and he gets a laugh.
That's hilarious.
If doing traditional fundraisers disqualifies you from running for president, then I guess neither one of us would be here. Let's have a serious conversation about where this country is headed.
Oh, yeah. It's the people who are upset that you take bribes that are the people who aren't serious about having a... Let's have a serious conversation. So this is not a serious conversation?
That, yeah.
So to be concerned about the bribery, which is the core at the rot of our democracy, that if you have a concern about that, you're not serious, according to Pete Buttigieg.
Mayor Pete. Let's just call him Mayor Pete. He has such a built-in advantage because it's hard to say his name, so we call him Mayor Pete. Sounds like we have affection for him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the adult in the room. Let's have a serious conversation, guys. Come on.
And hitting somebody with a process purity test when we're in the debate of our lifetimes about what it's going to take to move this country forward in very specific policy.
Yeah, and what it's going to take is getting money out of politics. Why does he pretend that that's not, again, the biggest problem? That's what causes all of these problems. The reason why you're against Medicare for all, the reason why the banks are still bigger, the reason why we're in 7 wars, the reason why we just gave Trump $131 billion extra dollars for his military, it's because of money in politics. And he's pretending like that you're some kind of a flim-flam floozy if you think you're some kind of a lightweight idiot.
Well, it's the voter. It's like the shaming, right? The
Yes.
voter shaming, the media, consumer shaming. It's on us. It's on them. It's not his problem. It's like, why do we care about that?
Hey,
Why is Mayor Pete in this run for president? Why is this guy? What is he bringing to the table that Bernie Sanders isn't already way beyond?
Well, that's why he's in it, because he's bringing the stuff that Sanders isn't. He's bringing the politically compromised, anti-social welfare state, anti-actual progressive. You know, he wants to stop things like canceling student debt. He wants to stop things like free college tuition, public college tuition.
Yes, I guess my question should have been put: why is a Republican running
right and the Democratic
That's
primary?
exactly right.
Someone tweeted Pete Buttigieg is the first gay man to run to run as a Republican. Or something. It was funny to make fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so disingenuous because it would be one thing if he just admitted, look, I'm a conservative or I don't believe in economic equality. But it's such a disingenuous, dishonest argument that it somehow helps the rich to have free public college or debt cancellation or any programs that are universal. Because if he cared about the most vulnerable in our society, he would know, because he's smart, because he's a Rhodes Scholar, he would know that the way that you keep programs viable and you protect them from being slashed and you make them robust and sustainable and hard to get rid of is you make them universal. Because when powerful people have buy-in, they don't want it to be gotten rid of. It also destigmatizes them, right? Which is why Newt Gingrich talked about welfare queens.
That's right.
And not Social Security queens.
That's right.
And so these people are just total liars with bad politics who don't care about poor people or working people, are not trying to protect them from, the rich people who are going to use up all of their money by engaging in free college tuition, taking advantage of it. And yeah.
But Mayor Pete is so clean and he looks so put together. Is so honest.
Right.
Hey, I'm just regular. Hey, come on, guys. Hey, right?
I'm not compromised.
Come on. Let's just be honest. Let's have a serious conversation. Right. So again, he's lying.
Yeah, he lied about his Mexico comments and called,
yes, he did lie about that.
When she was Tulsi Gabbard, when she was just quoting what he said. She was citing it, and
he was quoting, "I want to invade Mexico to help."
He said, "I would send troops to Mexico to fight a drug war."
Right.
He would.
His response is, "You're an Assadist," which is always a good sign that you really have a good argument when you don't engage in the substance.
Well, besides, our drug war has been very successful in the United States.
Who goes into this guy was raised, I'm glad his father isn't around to see this, because his father was a Gramscian scholar, a scholar of Marxism. He wrote about Antonio Gramsci.
Really?
He and Kamala Harris both have Marxist fathers. His dad was a big translator of Antonio Gramsci, was basically.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And you know what else he did? He wrote an essay. I think you guys have covered this, right? Pete Buttigieg, whatever. Who am I to Buttigieg? He wrote an essay praising that won an award, a Kennedy Honors Award in high school. Yeah, about how great Bernie Sanders was.
Yes!
And I want Pete to be the man he was when he wrote that essay. And I want him to be the man he is, the son of his father. And not the conservative pseudo above the fray. These food fights are what make us look bad to people. That's what it is. It's when politicians attack each other or talk about the issues.
That's why people are upset with. That's not why people are upset with Washington, because they bicker.
Yeah, exactly. If only they bickered about policy, which is what some people were trying to do on that stage.
Yeah.
What policies actually would Buttigieg differ with Trump? That's hard to.
Well, at least he's going to offer you a public option. Trump hasn't done that.
Yes. Medicare for all who want it, right?
Right.
Well, he's campaigning that he would.
He's campaigning,
Similarly
right?
to Donald Trump.
Trump also campaign on that. So, to be
you're
fair,
right. He did it. I thought he was going to lose the primary when he's like, "I'm not going to let people die in the street." I was like, "Oh, there goes the Republican nomination. Trump won't get that." But no, he powered through.
Turns out people are cool with that.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
So there's your Pete Buttigieg. There he is, being a complete gaslighting liar.
And, of course, Mayor Pete, great on racial justice, which is why his campaign had to lie and pretend that 400 black people signed a letter supporting his Douglas plan, which I think if we think of it as being named after Stephen Douglas, who debated Lincoln in the famous Lincoln-Douglas campaign debates, then it makes sense. He was like a slavery defender, basically. He claims it was named after Frederick Douglass. That doesn't make sense. But if we think of it as Stephen Douglas, then it does.
Then it makes sense.
Yeah. But remember those 3 black leaders who signed, who endorsed it, except none of them did? Not one, not a one.
And how does he not get one question about that, Katie?
Oh, because he gets a minor question about it, which Kamala Harris then just covers for him. Actually, it may be a kid of a Marxist solidarity thing. That was my guess, because they were both Marxists.
Oh,
a little nerdy joke. They're both their dads are Marxists.
Yeah, that's right.
And he didn't get a question about that. Can you imagine for a second? Not that Sanders would ever do this, but imagine if that had happened in the Sanders campaign.
Yes,
they would be calling for him to step
down.
They would be saying he's the racist, misogynist that we always knew he was. Somehow, Mayor Pete has terrible. Oh, also, he fired a black police chief who, for the crime of wanting to listen to his racist cops talking about him. He didn't set up the recording of those, by the way. It's like a complicated thing, but basically he fired him. Then he demoted him. He rehired him and demoted him. There's all this, and there's all this impunity of the police under his leadership. When you're a mayor, you're the executive. You're the manager, like Cuomo said about being the governor. But this is an instance. How big is South Bend? I mean, the guy is the mayor. He should be scaring the police.
He got 8,000 votes to become mayor.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the truth.
And it was a landslide victory, probably, right?
I guess.
That's a sad thing. But yeah, this guy is not. He's no good, and he knows better. That's the thing. He
Of
knows
course he
better
knows
because
better.
because he's a sociopath.
That's a
also known as
sociopath.
a Rhodes Scholar.
Or a road. That's
Yeah, Kamala's dad, who is alive and a Marxist. Did you see that he was really angry at her because she made some joke on the radio about how, of course, she does marijuana. My family is Jamaican,
yeah.
and he was like, our ancestors be rolling in their grave.
Yes.
Like, who has a better vision on how to make sure we move to universal health care in this country? And in broader terms, about what kind of path is needed to create that sense of belonging and replace that sense of exclusion that is defining American life.
You know, he is such a phony. Like he knows how to talk. You know? And he knows how to. Look at him. He knows all the.
He knows the moves.
He knows all the moves, baby. He knows how to make his voice crack.
Do you think he studied Bill Clinton?
Yes.
Maybe they have a special course in how to transition from sociopath to successful presidential candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when he was asked about? They were all asked about whether the voting rights should be extended to the incarcerated. Do you remember this in one of the town halls?
Yes.
And Sanders was the only one who said
yes.
without any hesitation, of course they should have the right to vote, no matter how terrible your crime. Because again, he's that weird thing where not as much as you'd like him to be, but where he's principled. Right? Yeah. So he said right away when he was asked, no, I don't think they should get the right to vote. And then he says, felons, yes. And I think the people across the aisle know that there's a racial layer to it. So basically he's saying Republicans don't want to give felons the right to vote, and that's because it's racist, right? They're racist, and they want to disenfranchise as many black people as they can. Okay. Again, you're a Rhodes Scholar. You should get this. If it's racist after they're in jail, it's also racist when they're in jail. Unless he thinks these people are like white in jail and then transition to black once they're released. Right. So he's basically saying racism is okay when the people are locked up.
Yeah.
Only when they're out of jail should we care about this.
Yeah, that is what he's saying. Yeah, and people don't notice. I mean, he did because he does it honest to God, it's like he must have been. I bet he practices how to talk and his moves more than a magician does his act.
Well, I also have a theory. I believe he's also the first robot to run for president.
Andrew Yang says he's going to replace everybody's right.
Oh yeah.
There you go. That's living proof. Got this robot. Look at him.
Rhodes Scholar.
This deserves to be at the center of the debate. And that's where I'm going to keep my focus.
He's going to keep his focus. And of course, Robert Costa doesn't say anything back to him. He doesn't go, hey, by the way, that doesn't make any sense what you just said. Why are you pretending like money in politics is like some frivolous problem? That it doesn't affect everything. Of course, he's not going to say that because I bet this is being sponsored by Bank of America. Remember when Bernie was interviewed by him? He comes out and goes, is this really sponsored by Bank of America?
Yeah. And then what he say? He misquoted Bernie. He made it seem like Bernie was dismissing something. Do you remember this?
Robert
he said,
Costa?
Yeah, he was like, I said it was bullshit. Bernie was like, read the rest of the quote.
Oh, that's right.
What was it that he...
Yeah, he kept trying to get Bernie, and Bernie's... Yeah, and then Bernie go, read the rest of the quote.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, read the rest of the quote.
It was something, I think, about voting rights or how basically it was.
I forget, something like that.
Yeah, but the takeaway was that Sanders was being progressive on it.
And he was dishonestly framing it, and he got caught.
And of course, he's faced the consequences.
Become a premium member and get hours of bonus material every week. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com/join. Also, come see our live shows. We do live shows all the time. We're going to be in Hawaii. Then we're going to Portland, Tempe, Sacramento, San Jose, Miami. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all of our live shows. See you soon.